Welcome back to Whitetail Garage. All right, so this episode we're going to get back onto the 66, onto Rita. I want to start this interior. So you can see we've got some patches that are, less than ideal in here. These seats are a little worse for wear. They're pretty old. So I've got new cushions. I've got new upholstery. All that is over there. We're going to pull that out. I've also got new carpet. I just put it out in the sun so that way we can let that start to loosen up. So you can see that the carpet's all faded right here in the center. It's just pretty worn out. I mean, it's pretty old carpet. I don't think it's probably not the original carpet, but it's certainly pretty old. So we're going to work on that. We got plenty of projects to do. I'll probably just do quick content in this video for the seat covers, because I'm going to be doing them kind of throughout the week, and then I'll piece together a whole video of just doing the seat covers, so that way there's a how-to for that, or at least how I did it. But in this video we're just going to be kind of covering quite a few different things. Probably end with some time lapse on putting that seat together. Not sure, because the first steps are going to be get the covers off, see the condition of the frames, get those cleaned up and painted, because I'm sure they're all rusted out. So we'll kind of start there. First I got to get all the seats out, get the carpet out, and then we'll start tearing apart the driver's seat and go there. You can see this seat is just really coming apart. We're using some tape to kind of hold all these together, but just it's gotten really old and it's starting to crack on all the seams. So we'll get that squared away. The carpet is just worn out and faded in a few spots. It's almost like they used the wrong cleaner or something, not sure, but it's also really worn out back here. This is supposed to be, this loop style carpet, and it's all just worn out because they never used floor mats. So I've got some floor mats on the way, so that way the same thing doesn't happen to the new carpet. So scuff plates have to come out, seats have to come out, back seat as well. Then the kick panels on either side have to come out, and the shifter bezel has to come out. And then we should be able to, oh, and seat belts. Seat belts have to come out, and then we can get this carpet out. Always scary to be pulling carpet in a car that you didn't get a chance to do a thorough inspection on. Basically, somebody, the previous owner, somebody along the way thought roofing tar paper was appropriate as a sound deadening, and it's not, because all it's done is trap a bunch of moisture underneath and rust the floorboards like crazy. So don't do that, guys. Don't do that. Get the right material to do the job. So now I've got to wire wheel all this and get it painted and put the proper underlayment underneath it. Alright, there's the carpet out and the roofing material out. So there is a ton of rust. I'm going to actually clean this out the rest of the way, vacuum it up, make sure I don't have any actual dangerous spots, and then this is going to get a kind of rattle can rebuild, because once I'll put the floorboards, probably do the individual sides, because it looks like the tunnel's okay, and frankly it looks like the center section's okay too. But rather than do, right now this has had floorboards in it. Somebody's gone in and done a bad repair job. So you can see there, and they've used like rubber or roofing tar to reseal it instead of seam sealer. And all they did was like self-tapping screws screwed into the floorboard, and then seam seal it. So I'm going to go back and redo the floors eventually. But for now, I just want to get all this cleaned up, get all that rubber out that I can, or that tar or whatever. Get all that tar out that I can, seam seal it, paint it, and then get going down the road. Make sure it's not going to continue to rust out the good parts, which are the tunnel and up on the firewall here, and then back into the seat pan here. Just make sure I don't have any ongoing issues. This looks like it was probably sitting in water for a while, with like the top being bad, and then it's kind of stabilized now because it doesn't look like it's continuing to rust. But I'll get this cleaned up and see what the floorboards, what kind of condition they're actually in, make sure there's not anything dangerous there. But then I'll go back and do those later. And the reason I say later is because that's where all this total cost involved stuff will get in. I've got, you know, all kinds of frame pieces that go in with that. Back behind there is the main frame substructure that kind of goes under this whole floor and builds the structure for the panhard bar that goes back to the rear end. I'm going to have to be doing some welding and drilling and cutting and all that stuff on the frame anyway. So I'll do all that as one project. I'll come in and do the floors and then do that part, because there's stuff in the front end that has to be done for the suspension. There's stuff in the center that has to be done for the rear suspension stuff. And then, of course, the rear end itself gets quite a bit done to it. And then the rear suspension gets some stuff done to it. So I'll kind of make that all one project, but I want to continue to keep enjoying this car. And we've got a couple of events this summer we want to do. And so I don't want to dive into cutting this floorboard up. But just an example of, you never know what you're going to find when you start digging into these projects. All right, that's after getting the wire wheel at it and getting it all squared away. The front looks like it was mostly all surface rust. There's hardly any pitting. The back, there's definitely pitting, mostly on the driver's side rear, but it's still a pretty solid floorboard. Again, this is not done correctly. This is not the right way to continue, but they're solid enough. They were there before. I'm going to clean up the rust to make sure it's not continuing to rust, and then do this repair later so we can continue to enjoy the car. So now I need to hit it with a rust reformer and then hit it with some paint, and this will be good to go. All right, so quick rebuild on the floor there with a little rust reformer. Now it's time to start on the seats. So you can see they're in pretty rough shape. You know, foam is pretty wore out. I think all the springs are intact. Everything looks pretty good. Probably just needs a paint job, but we're going to start to get it apart and see. So I've never done this before, so I'll have to see, you know, take my time and make sure it's all done correctly. There are a couple of videos online on how to do it. So, you know, this isn't necessarily going to be a how-to. Again, just how I'm doing it, what I'm running into, and how I'm going to get all this resolved. So let's jump into it. All right, now that I've got the cover off of all of these, that was an amazing amount of dirty work. All I'm going to do is take this wire brush and get all the rough scaling off, and then I'm going to hit everything with Rust Reformer. All right, well, right or wrong, this is how I fix the back seat, because this is the back of the rear seat, and all of these springs had busted off of this bar that goes this way. And so what I did is, the only thing I could find was some brake line. I had some new stock of brake line, and I just, after I bent my shape, I smashed it flat, so it was about the same thickness and shape of the original metal that was there. Now granted, this is a little bit more pliable than the original metal was in the frame, but when it was all hog ring up, it seemed to do a great job. So I mean, it's definitely holding this the right way. The only issue here is right here on this one. You can see that spring is broken. So this is a little softer. So I may put a block of foam behind this corner once I get the seat upholstered. But I am going to upholster the seat first. So I've got the back and bottom to paint left. And then once those are painted, then we can start assembling. Okay, just to catch you up, these have all been painted. There's the back seat frame over there. And then the two front components. But I shifted over to getting the floorboard complete. I put in the underlayment. I've already gotten the back carpet in. Good way to keep the, as you're poking all your holes, just use 1/2-inch extensions to slide down in those as you cut the holes to make sure that they all stay aligned as you go across. Otherwise, putting in carpet's pretty basic. I like to use an X-Acto knife because I can just cut just the circle I need, and I don't have to guess at it. So went ahead and put this in as well. That'll be in a separate video. I'll link that in the description, but power top is also in and complete. My switch is over there, kick panel's kind of landed against it. But so next steps, I've gotten the interior quarters put back in. I went ahead and added my molding up to the front here, that dives down into the scuff plate. So that's all in. Now I'm going to move on to the front carpet and then start reupholstering the seats. So let's jump on the front. So I got the carpet just cut for the center so far. I still have to come back and do the holes for the front of the seat. But I installed the shifter light. This didn't have the light bulb that tells you where you're at, the shifter selector light. And it usually is wired. There's a pigtail that comes up through here that plugs into it, but that's part of the neutral safety switch harness. None of that's in this car. It was all pulled out and gutted. I've got this over here. I've connected it down here so I can route it up to the park, to the light switch, and connect it to the park lights. So that'll be done in a little while. Now I know why upholstery shops charge so much. That is a ton of work. I did not enjoy that work. It was filthy. It was one of the dirtier things on this car. Getting all that old stuff out. Merch, if you want to support the channel, go buy a t-shirt, whitetailgarage.com. Go check that out. Leave a like, subscribe. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks for watching.